area and a premier public sector bank of India. In addition, she has done a number of consultancy agreements, assignments for various industries based in India as well as the Middle East. She's an assistant professor with University of Wollongong in Dubai, and she teaches OB and HR. She also serves as the educational community as a member of the editorial team of International Journal of Educational Management. She's an expert and a leader in the regional project on women empowerment, which focuses on mentoring of early career females to help them develop leadership potential and advance their careers. So today, Dr. Mumtaz is going to speak to us on the topic, identify your self-beliefs, enhance your leadership potential. That should be really, really interesting, and I'm sure we are all looking forward to it. Over to you, Dr. Mumtaz. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mukherjee. It was a very warm welcome extended by you and your team of fellow academics. Really appreciate the opportunity you gave me to interact with young people here. And as you mentioned in my introduction, mentoring is a passion for me. And, it's not only that you will get to learn from me. In fact, I'm expecting to take back a whole lot from you young people and learn and develop and into a much better person and a leader that I am. So maybe just one line on the project which I'm leading in the region, because it might be of interest to some young ladies here. So this is, I got the seed funding from my university. It is an Australian university. It's amongst the world's top 200 universities globally. This is a regional project where we are identifying young females with the potential for leadership, and we are connecting them with powerful female role models in the region for mentoring and for fast-tracking their career. As of now, we have the program only in the UAE, but inshallah, I'm trying to expand the program. There is some funding opportunity. In fact, maybe you are aware that there's a big international expo going on in UAE right now. So I'm very lucky that my project was selected amongst one of the regional projects, and I'm showcasing on 24th of October my project for women mentoring. So if we get the funding, of course, I'm going to extend it. The first country on my list is India. And that is when you young ladies, I'm going to open it up to you and maybe get your support for the project. So this is about the women project. I will be sharing my email shortly with you. So if you have any questions or you have any ideas, I'm really open to hearing from all of you. Okay, so I will share my screen with you now. Here. Today, it's not so much of a talk which I would be having with you, but it's like a dialogue. It's a conversation. It's going to be very interactive. So please feel free to ask me questions. If you don't want, sometimes a question may be very relevant to what we are discussing. You don't need to wait till the end of the presentation. I will have the chat box open. Let me see if I can open the chat box. Yes, I can open the chat box right now. So you can put your question on the chat box and I will try to either answer it there and then or towards the end of the presentation, but I look forward to some kind of interaction with you all. Again, as Dr. Rajiv mentioned, in UAE, we believe in very relaxed meetings. So, and me particularly, I'm a very low power distance professor. If you disagree with me, I'm very happy to hear your disagreements as well. As I tell my own students, three things happen. Either you will win me over to your point of view, or I'll win you over to my point of view, or we agree to disagree. But either ways, it's going to be a very enriched learning exercise for all of us. So don't feel pressured to agree with me on all the points there. So that's a free license to all of you. Now, before I start the topic, let me give you a brief outline of what we are going to cover today and the background on this project. So this is a project which I've already done with my students. So I teach subjects on leadership, and this was a pioneering assignment which I did with my organization behavior students. And so far, no university has conducted such a program for their students. So this is where I partnered with a behavioral coach, and we actually coached our master's students on leadership skills, which they applied at their workplaces. This got a really fantastic feedback from my group of students. They were all master's students. So based on that, I thought, even if I can share an abridged version of it with other students, and then, hopefully you will carry on the message and you will share it with people around you, the knowledge expands and the benefit expands. So this is the background to it. A similar version of the program, I'm running a workshop for a multinational here in the UAE. So I'm running it for their female leaders in the Middle East across different countries. So this is in alignment with my research areas, and quite a passionate topic that I believe in, that all of us, and particularly females, but in general, all of us have some blind spots, have some stumbling blocks, which if we are fortunate enough to understand our full potential, then the world is the limit for us. So I start my conversation with the first thought that I want to trigger in your inquisitive young minds on who am I. So generally, you see, in behavioral literature, we talk about authenticity, and I'm pretty sure you have heard of authentic leaders and authentic self, etc. So if you've heard of the term authentic leaders, can you please put a yes on the chat box? Let's see how many of you are mentally present here. Okay, thank you so much. Madhu says yes. So authentic self is, Ekta comes again, yes, okay. So generally in behavioral literature, we say our authentic self is when we are true to ourselves, okay? But in contemporary leadership literature, although if you look at classical literature, yes, being an authentic self is great. But if you look at the modern research on authenticity, we find that there is no way we can define ourselves as a singular entity, right? Because I am not the same person. I'm different as a student right now. You have the persona of a student. When you go back home, you might be having a persona of a brother, sister, sibling, parent, partner, whatever role you are playing. So it's not very easy to answer who am I. And if we are able to uncover the iceberg's tip on who am I, then we turn into better leaders. And how and why, I will, in a bit, I'm going to share that also with you. But first, I have a small exercise with you. So this is like a Mentimeter exercise. There are two ways you can participate in it. Either you can scan the QR codes with your phone, and it will give a question to you to identify in 3 words who you are. It's anonymous, your names will not come in. Please just do this exercise, and I will share the results of the exercise in a bit with you, and then do a debriefing on that exercise and link it to our topic today. Those of you who want to, you don't want to use the QR code, you could also go to www.menti.com and put in the code 77073683. Let's see. So maybe I'll give you 2 minutes to do this exercise while I stop the share and I open up the data sharing window. Okay, I can see the results are coming in. And I'm sharing the screen with you. These are the results coming in. Okay. Since we still have a little more than a minute for the exercise, let's see which words come in. And this is like a word cloud. So you see the size of the word shows how many people have actually used that to describe themselves. So for now, we are seeing that sensitive, creative are emerging as the most common options of how people are defining themselves. And now hardworking is another keyword which is picking up and which is trending. So maybe we'll give it 30 more seconds and then we start a debrief on this exercise. So people are caregivers, they're defining themselves as investigative, ambitious, workaholics. I really like that people are being very honest and true, and they are so happy to see whoever has described this as joyful, because this is the need of the day. So yes, joyful, ambitious, okay, resilient, absolutely, yeah. Okay, now if you look at the keywords which are coming in, and you scan the keywords, you will see the words which are trending are sensitive, emotional, creative, social. So the emotional and sensitive, in fact, are the top running, which means that the cohort which we have today, in fact, you are in the right workshop, because a combination of emotional and sensitive makes you empathetic young people, which means you are on the right track to be very effective leaders. Now, when you're describing yourself in 3 words, you see how many majority of the words that you have here are linked to your personal life, right? So you are hardworking, emotional, sensitive, creative, ambitious, proactive, good listener. And if we see, we have a number of introverts here as well. And I see a lovely word somewhere called ethical. Now, when we are describing ourselves in 3, when I said describe yourselves in 3 words, what I wanted to see is what is the lens that you will use to investigate yourself. So right now, what you are looking at is you are shining a light on yourselves, on an area of your personality, which it is not necessary that you might have shared it with others earlier, right? So when I told you that this is an anonymous exercise, you are being, there is a part of your personality which you are opening up on this, which others may not be privy to. For example, if we look at the social cues, now being in a school of business, and you know that the social cues which we get, that a leader who is a person who's emotional cannot be a good leader, or a person needs to be more assertive to be a leader. So these are the role perceptions and the cues given to us. What happens with these perceptions and cues that are given to us as human beings? We are like sponges. So we are soaking in the information around us, and our personality is adapting based on the cues which we are getting from people around us. When we go back to our presentation, I will share a tool with you called the Johari Window, which will explain this a little more. But the words here also indicate not only who you are, but the adjectives that you are holding closer to yourself, right? Because I limited you to 3 words. If I had limited you to 1 word, then this would again, it would have been a difficult choice for you. But because it was a starter exercise, I gave you 3 words. Now, whichever 3 words that you have typed in individually, I want you to hang on to those 3 words, because those are your core values. And when we will talk about self-limiting beliefs, we will talk about how acceptance and self-love is really important. Now, those keywords can be positive. I can see a lot of positive words here, but sometimes some keywords may also be negative. So it is fine. It is very subjective on what is positive and negative. And by the end of the session, hopefully, I might be able to inculcate a stronger sense of self-acceptance in all of you. So these 3 keywords are your core values. These are the values most important to you. But an unfortunate truth is also that sometimes, remember we talked about authentic, so sometimes we may not be able to be authentic to these values because the environment doesn't nurture those values. So if I'm in an environment which doesn't allow me to be sensitive, and my research on my gender-based research shows me that as women, when we reach into a leadership role, a high leadership role, we tend to be more assertive, um, and this is again open to all of you because it's a mixed gender class, so you may not agree with me, but as men, the society is still forgiving to us if we are sensitive, if we are emotional. In fact, that's considered a strength. A male leader showing empathy, but a female leader being sensitive is considered as a weakness. So even if I'm sensitive, if the culture expects assertion from me, I may be forced to fight these inherent values. And herein will start a phenomena called cognitive dissonance, where I'm putting on a persona which I'm not accepting. And that is draining of energy. And because we are always putting on a role which is not true to my internal value set, I can never develop fully my potential as a leader. So my suggestion to you would be to be very true to your inner values. And of course, there are interventions which I'm going to share with you, which you can use. But the more you reduce the struggle between who I am and what others want me to be, the lesser the struggle, the more the alignment, the better will be your leadership potential. So this is just to align you to what some behavioral literature talks about. Now we move further. Okay, so now through this exercise, what I wanted to demonstrate to you was self-awareness and why is it important. So have you heard of the key term emotional intelligence? Have you heard of this term? Emotional intelligence. Can I please have a yes on the chat box if you've heard? Okay, have some responses coming in. Thank you. Madhu, Sejal, Yatika, Jagrati, Anika. Okay. Is it because, just tell me, am I being too too gender focused that I have put on the young bright males here, that the yeses all coming are from my female students? Where are all the men? Rahul carries the whole burden of the male cohort here in the class by answering yes and representing them. So Rahul, you have a legacy to bear for them, but fine, I'm just kidding around. So now, emotional intelligence, you see, has different steps to it. So self-awareness is actually the first step towards emotional intelligence. And as business students, I'm pretty sure your professors in different subjects have highlighted to you how intelligence quotient or IQ is now being edged to a way. It does not play a key role. Earlier we had that conventional model of intelligence, but now we are understanding that as a leader, it is more important to be emotionally intelligent, and more a concept related to it is also culturally intelligent or socially intelligent. So how can we become culturally more intelligent is, you see again in behavior, and then you have Professor Bhattacharya here, and then you have Professor Mukherjee here. I'm sure they have discussed this in more depth with you, that the behavior, how we interpret and interact with the world around us is through who we are. So if I'm able to understand who I am, I will be able to understand the world around me a little better. And who I am is not necessarily only all good qualities in me. I need to also understand what is lacking in me, what are the biases in me. Okay, so now, I mean, again, it will come as a shock to you because you're all educated students, you are having an open mindset, and you would say, but no, Dr. Sabiha, I do not have any biases. I am a very resilient, ethical person. But then my answer to you is that there is not a single person on this planet who does not carry any biases or stereotypes within them. Some of them are conscious biases, and some of them are subconscious biases. So in my background, initially before I moved on to the subject of HR and OB, my PhD was in HR. But before that, my background is in physics. So I have done a master's in physics, electronics. So how I look at behavior is also because I use some principles of physics and quantum mechanics to understand behavior. Now, you see, in physics, how many of you, give me a show of hands, through an emoticon or a yes, how many of you have a background in science here? And have you heard the principle? Okay, Chetna has a background in science, okay. And in science and okay, in physics, we have a principle, energy is neither created nor destroyed, it merely changes its form, right? One of the laws. So similarly in behavior, memories are memories are never destroyed. Every experience that we have in our life remains with us in our memories. The memories which we use on a day-to-day basis, they remain in our conscious memory. But the memories which we have not used, they're pushed back to our subconscious and our unconscious, but they still have a huge role in determining our behavior. Okay, now I will give you an example for that. Tell me, I'm giving a scenario to you. You have to imagine that scenario and just put a yes on the chat box if it has ever happened to you before. That not imagine, but just reflect on a past situation where you went to a party or a gathering where you met a large group of people whom you did not know, maybe your first day in college, or at the time when you came in to put in your application form, and then there were a huge group of people. And you came in and there was a group of people, you don't know them, they don't know you, they haven't done anything to you. But for some people, you feel a strong emotion of dislike. Of course, for some you feel an emotion of like as well, but I'm pulling on a more, a stronger emotion. When we dislike someone, that's a stronger emotion for our psyche. Has it ever happened that you have disliked someone for absolutely no reason whatsoever, irrational? You do not know, the poor person has done nothing to you, you don't know them, and yes. And I know this happens a lot to females, but then, okay, Abhishek says, yes, it happens to men as well. Thank you, Abhishek, for gender neutralizing this phenomena. Very good. So do you know now, as humans, even though it is inexplicable phenomena, if we go in the psychology side, we can explain each and every behavior. Now, why is this happening? This is happening because, as I said, memories are never destroyed. They are stored somewhere in your subconscious or unconscious. So what is happening is that some aspect of this person is triggering a memory which is not in your conscious, but it is in your subconscious or unconscious. Like it could be a perfume the person is wearing. Maybe you had a negative experience with someone and this smell was nearby you. It could be the color of the clothes they are wearing. It could be their hairstyle. It could be anything irrelevant about the person, which is triggering a memory, which is leading you to react in a certain way. Now, why I'm giving you these examples is because, you see, it is so difficult to understand our own behavior, because by disliking someone for no reason, it creates stress for us because our behavior is irrational to ourselves. And that is why self-awareness becomes more important. The more we understand our subconscious, the more we understand our conscious, we will start figuring out the knots in our psyche which are holding us back, which we did not realize that they are holding us back. So that is why it's really important. Now to come to the topic of biases, which I mentioned to you. Yes, Yatika, thank you. You're always welcome, my dear. So another example of how our human psyche works and biases cannot be removed. How many of you drive? Can you put a yes on the chat box if you drive? Okay, yeah. So you're driving, so you own a car, and therefore maybe there must have come a time where you changed your car, right? Now, I want everyone to remember the time when they had decided on changing their car. So let's say you're driving car of a certain model now, and you decided, oh, it's an old car, I want to replace it with XYZ car, any brand, any model. Did you suddenly start seeing more such cars on the road? The one which you want to buy. Suddenly you start seeing more such cars. Has it happened? Yes. Yes, Yatika says yes, 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 recently. So what is happening? Is it physically so many cars are on the road? And there are so many of you, so it cannot be that you have all chosen to buy the same kind of car, right? Now, this is another weird characteristic of our behavior. It is called selective perception and confirmation bias. It means that sometimes as humans, our brain shows us in a situation what we want to see. So I have decided to purchase a car. Now my brain wants to give me more confidence in my decision. And therefore, it is selectively filtering out information which is supporting my decision, and it is hiding other facts from me. So you see, it's an interesting trivial example, but it is showing us an impact for leadership, that as a leader, because we are human beings, we are prone to confirmation biases, which means as a leader, if I've made up my mind, somehow my brain, I need to understand, it's inbuilt in me, it's hard coded in my DNA. I will pay more attention to information which is supporting what I'm saying rather than information which negates what I say. So again, self-awareness is important, that we have flaws, we are prone to such kind of problems, and therefore, again, it is more important to understand and accept ourselves with our strengths and with our flaws. Now, as the leaders, if you see, again, when the more we understand who I am, the more I can align with the role that I'm working in and reduce the cognitive dissonance and be able to work better with others. So this is why it is important. Also, if we see, leadership roles of today are changing, and you're all young people. Soon you will be in the job markets, and you will be, inshallah, you will be growing. You might, some of you might be working at maybe middle level management right now, and you will soon move into, in a few years, into senior and more strategic roles. So we have to understand that the world today is changing. We are in an environment which already requires resilience, requires agility. The change is happening fast, and this pandemic has taught us so many, so many lessons of why, how we need to quickly adapt. Now, when will we adapt? We will adapt if I know, first of all, what does adaptation mean? It means I am at point A, again, my physics, movement in a line. So what is change? Change is moving from point A to a desired point B. Now, you can only make this journey of point A to B if you know where you are. If you open the Google map somewhere, if you have to go on an unknown journey, it asks you for two things. It says, share your current location and then the destination where you have to be. If you do not share your current location, you do not get a roadmap for being on future, where you want to go in future. So which means where we are today, our current location, our psyche, what we are is really important for us to reach a desired point in future. And that again is a key leadership lesson for us to understand who I am, and and look at the world from my authentic lens of not what I want to be, not what others perceive me to be, but who I truly am. So this starts with self-awareness. Then we slowly start loving ourselves, and then we accept ourselves. Okay. Now, self-love does not mean, again, a word of caution here, because sometimes my behavior students get a little confused between self-love and narcissism. So self-love is different from narcissism. Narcissism is a negative characteristic. It's a dark triad. And in behavior, you talk about the dark triad, like Machiavellianism, psychopathy, narcissism. Okay. So you do understand. Have you heard the story of narcissism though? Do you know who Narcissus was in Greek mythology? Professor Shroma is smiling. Professor Shroma, would you like to share this story with us, please? Are you muted?
Yes.
Yes.
No, please go ahead. It's your floor today.
Okay, sure. Yeah. So Narcissus basically was a Greek mythical person. He was walking alongside a river, saw his reflection in water, and said, "Oh my God, what a beautiful person," and fell in love with himself. So we see, if you look around us, around yourself, imagine the workplaces that you are in, or even around your family and friends, you will have people who are in love with themselves, their thoughts, their voices, everything about them. Now that is narcissism, and it is very different from self-love. In narcissism, what happens is narcissism fosters rigidity. That is, this is my idea, this is the best idea, and therefore I am rigid. Narcissism destroys us as leaders. Self-love is different. Self-love means this is who I am, this is my best version right now, I'm aiming to better myself, but I love for myself for whatever progress I have made and for who I am as an authentic person. So that is self-love. Self-love brings resilience, and resilience is a leadership quality. So there, please don't be confused between self-love and narcissism. There is a narcissism is excess of self-love, which makes us rigid. And as you know, any quality in in excess is a dark quality. So be it anything, even charisma, excess of charisma can also bring narcissism and therefore bring in a darkness with it. So any characteristics of personality which when we go in excess, even honesty or conscientiousness, any characteristic makes us rigid. So that's, I hope with this brief discussion, I've been able to kind of embed in you why self-awareness is important and why did I work with a coach to design this assignment for my students. Now, I talked to you about something called a Johari window. Maybe if you've done a course on behavior earlier, you might be aware of what is a Johari window. It describes our personality. So if you look at, just a second, let me pick up and annotate. Okay. So if you look on this side of the window, there are two dimensions. One is the vertical part that is known to others, not known to others, etc. And then known to self and not known to self. Now, what Johari window says that who I am, my personality has got 4 quadrants to it, okay? So there is one part of it, of myself, which is like an open book. So I know those characteristics about my personality in terms of self-awareness, and others know that about me. So for example, can you put one characteristic of yourself which could be a shared characteristic? Can anyone just put a characteristic? Like, for example, my characteristic which is shared is that I'm a very, I'm a very passionate academic. I know that's my strength. And people around me see that passion in me and they know that about me. So that's a shared personality characteristic that I have. Similarly, maybe punctual. Some of you know that you are punctual. Maybe others also know about you that you are punctual. So that's like a shared personality characteristic. Then there are some personality characteristics about you which you know, but they're hidden from others, right? There could be. Now, generally, those characteristics which are hidden, which we do not want to share with the world, those are the ones which are triggering cognitive dissonance in us, which we discussed a bit earlier, right? Because I know that this is me, but what happens is I feel that the world may not accept me as I am. So I keep it hidden. I push that part of my conscious into the subconscious, and those become my hidden, that becomes my hidden self. And that hidden self may soon start becoming the obstacle. Maybe in 10 minutes from now, I will talk to you about how these hidden obstacles can become your roadblocks for achieving your full potential. So this is a hidden self. Now, there is something very interesting, and this is an aspect to us where others know this about us, but we don't know about it, right? And I'll give you an analogy for this. Like, what is the most personal part of ourself? Like my face, right? My face is who I am, and your face is who you are. But can you see your face? No. You can see others' faces, but you can only see your face if someone holds a mirror to you. So there are certain aspects of our personality which we are blind to, and we need that kind of emotional intelligence to accept the feedback from others, to understand those aspects about myself. Who am I? Unless there is someone who holds a mirror up to me, I will never know who am I, and forever remain blind and never be able to achieve my potential. I may be blind to my strengths, which I will talk a bit about in the imposter syndrome, or I may be blind to my weaknesses, and therefore I'm losing an opportunity to develop and become a better version of myself. Therefore, here comes the role of a mentor. This is how my research in behavior, I have practically applied it into a mentoring program. Because who can be our mirror? A mirror is someone. What is the mirror? A mirror shows you for who you are, right? Without judgment. A mirror, when you look in the mirror, it doesn't judge you. It doesn't say you are fair, you're dark, you're tall, you're fat, you're blue, you're green, whatever you are, it just gives it to you as a fact. Therefore, in real lives, who can act as mirrors are our mentors. That is, people whom we can trust, and people who we know are authentic, and they will, they will give the things to us as they are. And you are really blessed if any one of us can find those mentors, because they open up this blind spot in our personality, and this is where we start our growth on. Because you see, shared and hidden are the areas which we know. So self-awareness doesn't improve much on these areas. Where does it build upon? On the blind areas. And therefore, we really need to have someone trusted. And for the exercise which I did with my students, I told them to identify one person from their corporate life, that is the workplace, because as I said, all of us have personas. So we have a workplace persona, we have a family persona, etc. And identify one person from their personal lives who could be their mirrors to identify the beliefs that were blocking them. Now, the fourth quadrant is an unknown quadrant. This is like the black, just like the dark space of the universe, where only extreme kind of events trigger this aspect of our personality. So it's unknown to us. I will share a link with you towards the end. It's a very dark video, so just watch it as at caution. It's about an artist. She does live shows on herself. Her name is Maria Abramova. So what she did, probably some of you who are who like art, etc., maybe knowing about her. She did an art show. And in the art show, she said that I'm going to be here in this art gallery for 6 hours. And she had a table on which she put some items like maybe thread, rose petals, feathers, razors, etc. She put some items and she said that you can use any of these items on me, but I will not move. Now, this is a demonstration of the unknown spot of our personality, where sometimes dark side of us resides, which we are not aware of. So when people started approaching her, initially they were hesitant. Some made her sit, some made her stand, some used a feather, and then they started tickling her, and soon things started becoming darker. Then they started hitting her. Someone picked up a razor and cut her. They started tearing her clothes off. And in the end, someone put a gun in her hand and pointed it at her head. So, I will share the video with you and you can watch later to see how, as humans, if we, given an opportunity to abuse the power, our dark side can come up from our unconscious and take over our conscious behavior. Because who were these people who were doing this? They were people like you and me. They were educated people in the gallery. So that's dark side again that we need to be very cautious about. And again, probably you've heard of the Stanford experiment, where the students were asked to play the role of prisoners and guards, and they got so immersed in their role play that the colleagues who were playing the role of the guards, they started abusing their colleagues who were playing the role of prisoners. And prisoners kept taking the abuse and the guards kept abusing them. Finally, the experiment had to be stopped midway because it was turning into a very dark experiment. So this shows, this demonstrates that in our personality, there are different parts to us which we do not know. Some of them can be evidenced by using our trustworthy people as mirror. They are the blind spots, but also there are unknown spots. The more we know about ourselves, the more in tune with our own self we are. The unknown part keeps getting smaller. So we can reduce the size of the unknown window on Johari, but we can never make it 0. But what we can do best is reduce the size. Okay, so now we are moving on further. Is there any question that you have as of now? No? If you have, please put your question, or if you are disagreeing, or if you have a comment, please do put it on the chat box. Because now I am moving on to an aspect where I want to demonstrate that how our self-image is influenced by outside experiences and people's expectations and people's perceptions of our role. This is in behavioral literature, we have a term called Pygmalion Effect. So probably you've heard of Pygmalion Effect, where if people expect more from us, we kind of expand our potential to become better versions. And if people keep telling us, we get reinforced messages that you are worth nothing, we start believing that we are worth nothing. So before I share a small video with you, I again want to do a small exercise with you. So I will be narrating a story to you now. And I know it's probably, what is the time there? Is it 3:30, 3:40 out there, right? And you might be a little sleepy. So wake up before I share this story with you, because as I will be narrating this story, I want you to imagine it in your minds. And later on, we will have a 5 minutes discussion, not on chat box, but on camera and microphone, where what you saw, and I will kind of connect the dots there. Okay, ready for the story? So I want you to imagine a hospital, be like a director of a movie. So you have this camera, that camera is zooming onto a hospital, move inside the hospital, see what you're looking at the corridor, move in a room and zoom in your camera to a room now. In the room, you see there is a nurse and a doctor, and there is a football injury patient lying there. The nurse and the doctor are having a conversation about the patient. Focus on the nurse, focus on the doctor, focus on the patient, visualize what they are doing, and we're going to have a conversation about it. Okay. So did everyone see a hospital, a doctor, and a nurse? Yeah? Can I request you to put on your cameras briefly so that I can see your lovely faces? Okay, fine. Fine, okay. Now, this is just a conversation now. Share with me, what did your hospital look like? Anyone pick up your mic and just tell me what color were the walls? Was it small, big? Just general. We're just talking about the story and our vision. So what did your hospital look like?
Ma'am, a hospital with white and blue walls where every individual is going into with an expectation that the patient will be returning in a positive way and everything will be fine. And at times, we also see that hospital is also a place where a patient is taking the last breath. Might be we are expecting that even the patient is getting an opportunity to stay in a better world. Like some way or the other, we can tell that hospital is a place where some patients are given a better life to live, and also a place where patients can enjoy another world's another life.
Okay, Madhu, that's a very interesting way of describing a hospital. Thank you. That was a very good critique, looking at both sides of the coin. So so that's a characteristic, Madhu, I want you to nurture in yourself, because I can, as a leader, if we can look at any situation unbiased and look at both the positives and negatives, already we are, on the right set. So nurture that characteristic in you as a leader.
Thank you, ma'am.
To unmute the mic. Okay.
Yes, now I can do it.
Show me through your eyes, what did your hospital look like?
Well, my hospital was actually the exact opposite of what Madhuranti's was. I am not so positive, to be very honest. So for me, ma'am, as I enter the hospital, it's all white, as it has always been. There's the sound of the ICU machines and everything that always comes, and there's this very strong smell of medicines that's around. And you see people who are, anxious, who are sad, or who are just eager to talk to the doctor. And there would be a pharmacy where people would be lined up to, buy medicines. Somewhere there would be a children's ward where you can see that, the mothers are sitting outside waiting anxiously. Okay, my child should be better. So something like this.
Okay, so
a very normal one.
And both you and Madhu saw a busy hospital, right? There are patients, there is hustle, bustle, and people are going. Okay. Now let's focus on what did the doctor and the nurse look like for some of you? Yatika, do you want to share with us, since you're so kind in putting on your camera?
Ma'am, actually, I recently saw a movie Farhan Akhtar's movie, Tufan. So I had that hospital in my mind, and I could see just three people: a person, the patient with football injury, the nurse, which was the main lead, and the doctor, which was the main lead, and a nurse. So only three people I could see, and everything was blank.
Okay, so you followed my story to the T, because I said zoom in, there is a doctor, there is a nurse, and you were following my story. Okay.
When you said hospital, so I had that city hospital name as in all serials, and then I zoomed there, then I moved into the corridors when you said you are moving, and then I went through.
Okay, and what did your doctor look like?
The same actor, the main lead
of
that movie.
Okay.
Yes, of that movie.
And in the past, it's fine. I've heard people in my class say, "Oh, we saw Grey's Anatomy doctor," and then there is this recent Netflix show where you have the good doctor, so they are seeing Sean there as the doctor, and Ekta raised her hand. Ekta, who did you see as the doctor?
Sean.
You saw Sean as the doctor. Okay.
As I don't like to imagine hospital thing, but okay, I imagined Sean.
Okay, and who else? Let's have some more views. That the room is so full, but the voices are just these people for all. So what is it? Are you getting attendance for this session? Is it for extra credit on your subject? Who has grabbed you by the neck and pushed you in this session today? Relax.
Ma'am, this is Manasvi here.
Who? Manasvi. Okay.
Yes. Manasvi.
Yes, Manasvi.
Actually, I'm traveling in a metro right now, so there might be a bit of disturbance from my end.
Okay, so it's okay. This is a story. So tell me, Manasvi, what does your doctor look like?
Ma'am, even I recently saw a web series on Amazon Prime Video, and in that there was this male lead who was, I mean, the whole hospital was preoccupied because of the 26/11 terror attacks. That's the backdrop of the entire story that's shown in that web series. So the hospital is really in a turmoil kind of situation, and everybody is really tense, and they're in a situation like that. They're not able to understand what to do and how to do it, how to calm down people and their families, and I mean,
yeah. So the Prime and Netflix are priming our minds.
Yeah,
situation. Okay.
They're big influences.
What about the nurse? Would someone share their perception of what the nurse looked like for them? Should I put you on a spot by just taking a random name? And then you will start disliking me forever and say, we never want her again to do any session for us. It's okay. I'll take the risk and pick up a random name. Maybe Parul. I'm sorry, my dear. Parul Takkar. Are you here? First of all, let me take baby steps. Parul doesn't seem to be here. Tanmay? Okay. Okay. You know, if it was my class in UAE, probably what would have been happening? Frantic WhatsApp activity where students are messaging each other. Wake up, dude, the professor is calling your name on Zoom. And the person will come up and say, sorry, professor, my mic was not working. It started working now. So I allow you, I'm even giving you that excuse. Do that. I will very naively accept your excuse that your mic just started working. So who am I picking up next? Jagrati? Jagrati?
Yes.
Jagrati, Jagrahiti. Okay. Go ahead. Yes, Jagrati.
Now it seems to me like I have also watched, like Manasi said, Mumbai Diaries. I had same view in my mind also. Now it seems to be like pink colored dress, running here and there for their patients, taking care of them, and trying their best to help save their lives.
Thank you so much, Jagrati. And my apologies if I made people uncomfortable. I'm sorry, that's just who I am. I told you, take me lightly. I'm a very low power distance person. So my purpose was not to put you in a hot seat or make you uncomfortable. Okay, now, the reason why I did this exercise is to demonstrate the power of the society on molding our vision and how we look at things. In behavior, we call it glass walls. So you see, most of you saw a male doctor, most of you saw a female nurse, and I think all of you must have seen a football player as a man. Now despite this class having majority of females, at least by the names, it seems like, at least on my page, which I can see, those are seeming like female names. And a female doctor is not, it's not a rarity, right? You go in a hospital, probably 60% of doctors will be females. So despite that, and I can't even play the gender card right now because it's us female putting other females in glass walls and saying females can be nurses and men are doctors, right? We're doing it to ourselves. So it's not even the gender card right now. This is the power of the society on the expectations. And sometimes when we keep seeing, you said you watch this serial and that serial, and then you read these books, and then you watch the adverts, what they are doing is they're giving us the signals with which we are categorizing ourselves in boxes. And this is called glass walls. These are invisible. No one knows that we are restricting ourselves, but we are restricting ourselves based on the social cues. And those are also our hidden, the things which are hidden and which don't let us achieve our potential, because we just start assuming that this is my role, this is who I am, because I'm looking at the world from the eyes of other person. And that's why they are glass, they're invisible. So it becomes even more important to understand such things. Now, I want to share a YouTube video with you. Just a second. Let me see if I can. Play the video and share the screen with you. Okay, so this is a short clip. I will not play the whole clip for you all. I will play maybe the first 2 minutes to demonstrate what I'm trying to say. This was a classic experiment done in the US where young kids were picked up and they were shown two dolls, a black doll and a white doll, and see the reactions of the kids.
Is the black doll? And which one is the white doll?
That
one. Which doll is the pretty doll? Which doll is the nice doll? Which doll is the bad doll? Which doll is the nice doll? And which doll is the bad doll? And why is that doll pretty?
Because he's white and he has two eyes.
Which doll is the ugly doll? Why is that doll ugly?
Because he's black.
Which doll looks most like you?
Like me?
Yeah, which one looks like you?
And that one.
Okay.
That doll.
Can you show me the doll that you like best or that you'd like to play with?
This one. I like that one.
I'm killing.
This one.
That one?
Okay, so here is the link to the video, those who would want to watch it in full on the chat box. But what could you see? I mean, it's a dark video where we see young kids and the stereotypes are so deeply embedded in them, where dark is associated with ugly, with evil, with bad, and white is associated with everything nice. Now this demonstrates that how, and these are kids, right? They have just spent maybe 4 or 5 years in the society, and you all are young people. You have spent maybe 20, 21 years, 22 years in the society, sponging up the stereotype messages which are coming to you, right? So this is the influence that we are carrying within us, whether we know it or we do not know it. The toxicity that has been put onto us, we have absorbed that toxicity. It is somewhere within us, whether in our unconscious, some semi-conscious, or in our, the conscious memory. And this is where you need to work on it to detox yourself of these messages. And the first step is self-awareness. That first step is understand that, yes, it's very normal for me to hold these biases within me. And the moment I accept that these things reside within me, then the change becomes a little easier. So this is, again, I want to give you one more tool to work on. This is the link to a Harvard University project. They have created a poll, and if ever as leaders you feel that you might be making a biased decision, as leaders, a leader is only as effective as the decisions being made by the leader, right? So if you can make decisions based on merit, the chances are your decisions will get you better results, which means you will become better leaders, right? Quite logical. I look at diversity and equity not from the lens of just a moral science or ethics approach, but also from rational economic approach. So if ever you feel that you are in a danger of making a decision based on a bias, you can go to this link, take a test, and identify whether you are at risk. Do you harbor this toxicity within you? Then you can make a system. Like, for example, maybe instead of a single interview, you could do a panel interview where these biases can be neutralized by having diverse people on a recruitment board, etc. So this is a very interesting link. They have biases. You can check your biases on race, age, religion, gender career profile, especially you women. I want you to go through the test which says gender career profile and identify, is there any hidden obstacle in your mind which is stopping you from connecting females with high-powered corporate roles, and you look at females only in nurturing family roles. So it demonstrates, and this is a free tool, and it gives you the report there and then. And it's a gamified environment. So it doesn't ask you personality-based questions. It just asks you to do some fun games. And after that, it gives you the result. So, and it's not like any frivolous personality tests on internet. This is a project which is research credentials are established by a team of Harvard professors who have designed this and tested it with data globally. So now we come back to what I was sharing with you. So this is what I wanted to share with you, that we have our own image, and our image is influenced by outside influences. Now, sometimes there is this thing called imposter syndrome. What is imposter syndrome? Have you ever felt, again, reflect on it. Let's say you've done some great job. Maybe you've done a fantastic assignment. Maybe you've done a good project. Anything really nice, creative. Maybe you wrote a song. Maybe you danced. And then after that, you thought that whatever I did, it was by fluke. You know, that's not really me. I'm not creative. I'm not intelligent, but it just happened because I got lucky. My assignment is really nice because I was lucky this time. It's not necessarily I would be able to repeat it. This is called imposter syndrome. It is an outward manifestation of the blocks that we have in our personality, which is stopping us from complimenting ourselves. So we compliment others, but we do not compliment ourselves. So be very beware, be very cautious of this imposter syndrome. And again, I'm going to share a link with you. Here it is. This is the link. Let me put it on the chat box. You can take this test again. Where is the chat box? And find out if you are at risk of having an imposter syndrome. So if you look at the gravity of the situation, this is a leading journal in behavioral science called Journal of Behavioral Science. And here it was estimated that 70% of US people in the US have experienced imposter syndrome sometime or the other. Again, self-awareness is what comes in, that if I know that I'm prone to underestimating myself, I do not compliment myself, maybe I will be more cautious and I will not belittle myself in front of people. If someone compliments it, I will take it with confidence and say yes, and own myself that yes, I'm good. You know, sometimes our culture socializes us, particularly if you look at India. And I do not know whether you're familiar with Hofstede research, but in one of your cultural classes, maybe you could ask your professors to take you through that. Especially in the Middle East, where I'm working right now, or India, where I belong to, we have been socialized into the art of humility, right? Our Indian culture says if we are humble, we are good. So we are socializing it within us, which works in a positive manner for us, that less chances of being a narcissist. But the other side of the coin is that we also do not we are not very confident. We do not believe in our strengths, and that could be a stumbling block for us. So that's the imposter syndrome I wanted to talk to you about. Now, this is what we are leading towards. So self-awareness, who I am, self-love and acceptance, accepting myself with my flaws, my strengths, and loving myself for it, being kind to myself, accepting the compliments, understanding that I could be good. This is what sets me on a journey to self-transformation. And when we, as leaders, our growth, as any kind of a leader or any kind of a professional, our growth depends on transformation. If we don't change, you see, even if the water is stagnant, it starts smelling. So what happens is, if we do not transform, then our growth is stunted as leaders, and we're never able to achieve our full potential. So one of the very powerful leadership traits is the capability to transform yourself and build yourself into a better version of yourself, not looking from the eyes of the outside world, but collecting information from all four quadrants of Johari and then making a judicious decision yourself that sets you onto self-transformation. And reflection is a great tool for that. Okay, so now we are reaching towards the end of our session, where we are talking about resistance to change. So let's say our first hurdle was to understand ourselves. Now that if we are on that journey, there is another symptom we will find, that even if I want to do things in a certain manner, even if I am have the capabilities to change, yet sometimes you will see resistance to change in people. So this was baffling people in the corporates. And this is my workshop, which I'm doing with these senior female leaders from the Middle East, where I will actually do a hands-on workshop and teach them how to overcome resistance to change as leaders. So this is based on a very recent Harvard research done by Keegan and Lahe. And they brought in a concept called immunity to change. That is, some people are resistant to change, not because they don't want to change. They may be very proactive people. They may want to change, but something is holding them back. And what is holding them back is very interesting. It's called competing commitment. Now, what is that? What is competing commitment? Competing commitment, oh, okay. Sejal, where did you lose the screen? Should I show you the screen again? Which one? Is it better now, Sejal?
Yes, yeah? Yes. Actually, there is a black box on the screen, ma'am.
Right now?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, that's where your chat box is open. How about it now?
Yes, ma'am. Now it's fine.
Yeah. So that was because I had opened the chat box. Okay. So I am, or let me see if I can. Maybe because there are two slides open. Let's see, makes the situation better now. Do you want me to keep it like this? Is it better this way, or this view is better for you? This one, which is a better view?
Ma'am, the slideshow view is better. This one, ma'am.
Yeah, okay.
This one.
Yeah. So let me also take you to self-transformation, since it was not visible. So as I was mentioning, self-transformation is the end product of awareness, self-love, and self-acceptance. It moves us to a journey of transformation and change as a leader. So now I'm coming to the actual tool which the students did. This was immunity to change concept. The assignment was based on immunity to change. And the workshop was with a behavior coach to identify competing commitments. So the role of the coach was to identify the blind spots which the students do not know and work with them to uncover these competing commitments. Now, I'll give you an example of how competing commitments can hold us back. So this example is from a corporate, and there was one person, I mean, it was a multicultural environment. I won't be able to name the organization, but there was this one person who had a lot of potential to develop for promotion and becoming a higher level leader. He was very welcoming, a very open communicator. So they were all the right ingredients to emerge at the top. But he had a very sharp sense of humor, almost bordering on sarcasm, and that was putting off other team members. So his manager was baffled as to why this person is emotionally intelligent, understands that this behavior is harming his chances of moving up, and he is a positive person. It's not as if he's negative. Then why is he behaving in this manner? Why is he not changing even though the feedback is given to him? So you see, in most of the organizations, we expect that once we give feedback to people, they will change. Lisa and Robert said, no, it's not that easy. Sometimes we have clashing values. As humans, we do not carry just one single value system within us. There are so many beliefs, there are so many values, and sometimes they could be in competition with each other. They may be competing. So for this person, then had a counseling session with a coach, and it emerged out of his discussions that because that person was a person of color, okay, and in a multicultural background, he was trying to protect his identity because most of the team was white, and he assumed that if he grew too friendly to the team, then the team will consider him one of the part and he will lose his self-identity. And he did not want to betray other people of color. So, and even he didn't know that. It was his blind spot. So these are competing commitments. They are embedded deep within our emotional spaces, which are sometimes stopping us from making a change which we know is good for us, right? So sometimes it could be, for example, eating healthy. We know junk food is not good for us, but we're not disciplined. Or we know that, being on social media, it's addictive, it's taking away from my time, which I need to focus maybe on building my career. But even though I want to make that change, something is holding me back. Now that something could be either on your open areas, so you know it, maybe it is, so those interventions are easy for you to design, but sometimes these hidden commitments could be in the hidden space. That is when you need a person who is, who could hold the mirror up to you and show you how you are harming yourself, show the obstacle to you and put you on the right path. So this is a very modern concept of mentoring, coaching, and guidance, where we try to uncover competing and the hidden commitments which are stopping people from making changes. So this is about competing commitment. Sometimes it could also be, this is the example I just shared with you, the caustic humor, costing career advancement despite the person. This is the example I just shared with you. It's a real example from a corporate space. Now, sometimes you see, there are hidden fears within us which stop us from changing. Hidden fears could be, if I do well now, maybe I want the promotion, right? But I am also harboring imposter syndrome within me. So what is happening? I want the promotion. People around me see me as capable, but I'm scared that, I'm a fraud. They don't know me. They think I'm good, but I'm not good. So if I make the change, they will promote me, and then my truth will come in front of everyone, and then I will be embarrassed. So sometimes in some culture and gender settings, we see this imposter syndrome embedded very, very strongly within the psyche of people, reinforced by messages which we were given in our early life. And that if we and once that is unhidden for them, once we bring it to the fore and make them realize that this is not something unique to you, this imposter syndrome is where majority of people at some point in their life feel that they are imposters, as we saw from the research that 70% of US-based people in a recent research sample said that they felt imposters sometime or the other in their life. So this is then what is, so now understanding all this, then what is the process for self-transformation? So this is a three-pronged tool. I'm giving you very simplistic option here because I really do not have the time right now to administer the tool to you, which requires commitment from people of at least 6 hours, where you work with the coach for 2 hours on one-to-one sessions on a semi-structured interview to hide the hidden spots on your psyche, and then with that you start working on an action plan, and then you work and we take you through steps. So that requires around 6 to 8 hours of work, of ending in a reflection exercise and a real action plan for improving leadership potential. But I can start you on that journey, right? And I hope that with our session, you might have been able to get some information today about yourself to at least put you in a positive mindset to analyze your own self and to start this journey. So there are 3 steps. First, the coach guides the individuals through a set of questions. Now, if you're not working with a coach, and of course, this was for the academic purpose, so the coach worked free of cost for the students, but you may not be able to get a coach to work for you free of cost. So you could work with any person whom you trust, right? So work with people. These could be your mentors at work, these could be your seniors, but the characteristic is that the person should have some background in coaching, and the person, you should be able to trust that person. So they will be your mirrors and they will start uncovering your blind spots. Then you will look at those blind spots with a very objective mindset of knowing and loving and accepting yourself as part and parcel of those blind or hidden spots, and then start working through them one by one by creating an action plan, not rushing yourself through it, but taking time and creating a realistic short-term plan where maybe you are aiming to change 10% of yourself, a midterm plan where you change 50% of yourself, and a long-term journey of continuous improvement in your life. So this is like a theoretical structured process, but a part of it you can start at any point of time. This journey, it just needs to start, again, physics. Anybody remains, inertia. Anybody remains in a state of rest or motion unless a force is applied to it. So we are habitual in a certain kind of behavior, and unless someone pushes us or changes, we would continue because that's the smooth path. That's the easiest way to behave. So I hope You know, today's session has been some kind of a wake-up call for you all, like a reminder, shaking you up. I'm acting as that physical force, which is moving you from your inertia to change yourself. So that is what is needed for us. Okay, let me again share my screen with you. So this is, again, I want you to spend like maybe 30 seconds looking at this. For each one of you, maybe a thought has come in your mind, a characteristic that you want to transform yourself. Take a moment, take your phone, a piece of paper, anything that's around you, capture that thought, don't let it go, and promise to yourself that you are going to start this journey, even if it is in baby steps, even if you change yourself 2%, at least you have started on that journey. So focus on this. And finally, we are wrapping up the session because I want to have maybe 5 to 10 minutes for Q&A session. Just didn't want to make it more than 1.5 hours. I'm on time, good. So I've also created a Google form where I would really love to see your feedback. What did you like about the session? In future, how can I improve my session? Please, it's anonymous, so give me your feedback. And also on the same form, mention if you would want to participate in a workshop. So in future, if I'm doing a workshop with my students and I have a few spaces open, maybe I can offer it to those who are interested, but with the mindset that this may require around 6 to 8 hours of commitment from your side. Thank you so much. Thank you for being a very lovely audience and sharing your positive energy with me. Here's my email if you want to communicate with me, and my LinkedIn profile if you want to, again, connect with me or follow me on LinkedIn.
And can you put the feedback link in the chat?
Sure, I'm putting the feedback link here. And this feedback link also has an option where you can indicate if you want to be a part of the workshop later on. I am not guaranteeing it immediately because it requires a lot of work to organize it. But when I will try to keep around 4 or 5 spaces for people from outside my university. So any questions for me? Anything that you want to comment, share with me? Now is a good time. If you're feeling shy, put it on the feedback. It's anonymous. And as I said, you do not need to agree with me. That holds good for the survey as well. If you want to put in some things you did not agree with, I'm very happy to take that feedback because that is my growth as an academic. So thank you so much. Thank you, Professor Bhattacharya.
Just before we close, we have a small duty to perform. In fact, for me, I think the session was extremely interesting and stimulating.
Thank you so much.
And being the person who actually taught, I've gone through this batch with OB, what I realized is that self-awareness for us is so important. And if I had to sum up your entire presentation in a few lines, the way I understood it is that can you build the courage to articulate the inarticulated, act the withheld, and own the disowned? I think if we are able to do these 3 things, I think the path to self-awareness becomes that much easier and important. Thank you, Dr. Mumtaz, once again. And we wish we'll be in touch with you on a longer-term basis to really benefit from your, how would I put it, experiential knowledge, so to speak, as well as academic brilliance. Thank you very much.
Such a pleasure to
Neeraj,
be here, Professor Bhattacharya, and such a lovely summary. You put a very, very nice spin on it, and you just summarized it so well. Thank you for sharing your, your words with me. Thank you so much.
Neeraj, are you there? Would you please present the memento virtually?
Oh, that's so lovely.
Thank
This
you
is
very
beautiful.
much, and all best wishes from us in Delhi School of Business. We'll see that the physical memento reaches you.
Thank you.
ASAP.
Thank you so much. It's the spirit. It has reached me in spirit, Professor Bhattacharya, and this is bringing me back the memories of being in India. Those are the things that we miss, and then every culture has got its pluses and minuses, and it's just a different experience. So it was wonderful, and I just hope that next time when we inshallah, of course, when we meet, we have some more students, some more participation.
Sure.
Maybe a topic which is closer to their heart, which can make them more bubbly and chirpy. But it was lovely, all the young females, all the boys who shared your opinion. I loved interacting with you young people. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Sabiha. It's a pleasure listening to you and walking through the entire presentation and your discourse. I think next time we should talk more about the opportunities and the excitement that the Dubai and Middle East offers to the students, the youngsters. I think the whole class will be there. And for the class, my message is that if you want to experience Dubai, so be after ma'am and have a good connection and a lot of convincing to her to invite you all for a week or a 10-day immersion program, and which we have already discussed some preliminary thoughts, but then if you can design it, that will be really good.
Absolutely, Dr. Rajiv. Yes, I will keep you posted. We will work on it. We will design some things for these young, lovely minds here. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much.